Hey, hello everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Shaya. I'm security research leader of Foresia, the global group. We're today with David, which has become to be a really friend of mine. And we're going to talk about how we hack Teslas, which is a very interesting topic. And let's start with David. Tell us a little bit about you, about yourself, and about your work.
Yeah, so thanks for the EcoMotion Week for inviting me. It's great to be here and speak about this topic. And it's going to be really interesting, I promise. So who am I? Why am I sitting here? I'm obviously pretty young. I'm 19 right now. But it started out really early, so I got interested in technology when I was around like 10 years old. I was like, hey, that's cool. I got my first laptop for my 10th birthday, and I was like, it's really interesting. And how does it work? Because it isn't like magic. Every one of us does Google searches and uses technology, but it isn't magic. It's only technology. And I asked myself this question, and then I was like, yeah, I can just learn it. That's a beautiful thing. We live in an age where you can just go ahead and learn about all of this online. You don't have to go to university. You can just use the laptop and go ahead and learn about it. So I did it. I started programming. I started building apps. I started building websites and all that kind of cool stuff. And then I was around 13 years old and I started finding vulnerabilities. And I was like, oh, that's also interesting because now I can stuff I shouldn't be able to do. And if it's in this piece of code, maybe it's out there at organizations and stuff like this. And this was really interesting. So my school wasn't really happy because I hacked my school once. And I was like, But school is a really interesting topic because then I was in 10th grade, I was 15 years old, and I was asking myself like, hey, why should I sit here and learn Latin or do like poem analysis if I could be out there protecting organizations and having impact out there? And I was like, I have to quit school, which in Germany it isn't really easy to be like, hey, I'm out of here if you're just like 15 years old. But I managed to do it because I found someone at the German Chamber of Commerce who understood what I was saying. And then he gave me a special permission. So I only go to school like 1 or 2 days a week and can use the rest of the time to further build my skills and start my own company, which then I did. I started my own company for like security consulting and stuff like this and penetration testing to have impact out there because it's just like such an important topic. And then I also do security research, which I think is interesting. So I hacked Red Bull once, which was quite cool. They sent me a lot of Red Bull as thank you. And then the Tesla story, which is why you are here and why I am here, which was super interesting because I didn't even plan to hack Tesla. It wasn't like I was sitting down and I was like, hey, and today I'm going to hack a few Teslas. It just happened out of curiosity. And it was the same thing that got me into technology. It was like, hey, I want to know how it works because I found an interesting piece of third-party software. And I was like, oh, that's really interesting. And how does it work? And it was luckily open source, so I could read through the source code. And it was quite interesting because I was following the sensitive credentials and tokens in there through the code. And I was reading it, and then I was like, oh, that's interesting. The tokens get stored in something called repo, which I, of course, thought is like some secure storage mechanism. But it wasn't. It was just like a normal database. And this piece of third-party software also allowed for statistics to be displayed. So there was like a public dashboard that displayed like charging statistics. And I was like, oh, that's cool. If we combine those things, we have like the sensitive API tokens in there. It's not encrypted, it's just like in the database. And we have a public dashboard that can read certain data like charging statistics. What if I'm now able to trick the software into thinking I'm the public dashboard for displaying charging statistics, but instead I tell it to like, please hop a few tables in the database and give me like the sensitive API token. And it worked, which was really, really interesting. So I got the tokens out of there, and then I was like, oh, that can't be it. It can't be that easy. And then I tried to do something with the Tesla. So I had the horn honking of the Tesla, and I was like, oh, it actually worked. And then I reached out to a few people, and I was like, hey, I know you just went grocery shopping. I don't want to scare you, but I have control over your Tesla. And the people were like, yeah, sure. And I was like, hey, if you give me permission, I can try to unlock the doors when you come out. And he was like, yeah, do whatever you want. And then I unlocked the doors, and he was like, holy shit, this actually works. And I was like, yep, that's an issue. So what are you going to do? I was sitting there in Germany, and I was like, And then I started trying to figure out what is the scope of this whole thing. And then my initial scan showed up like a few hundred Teslas. And I was like, oh, that's a bigger issue than I thought. And I was still, I wasn't sure it actually was that easy. So I tried to figure out if I have access to all of those, and then I was like testing with 5 Teslas and then 10 Teslas, and after 28, I just stopped because I was sure, yeah, now it works. So I reported this, and I was like, that's quite interesting. And I got in touch with Tesla. It got all resolved, which was pretty cool. But there are a few key learnings in there which I want to discuss, because cybersecurity in automotive is a really important topic. And I'm here with someone who is on the other side, because I'm the external security researcher. I'm just a guy in Germany having fun on an afternoon. And we have Shaya here, who works at a tier 1. And like, what's your perspective on this topic?
So first is, your story is very common in our industry. Like as security researchers, everyone has the same issue with the school and when they're high school and etc. So, you know, in my point of view today, I know that the most of our issues in automotive industry today, that we are too much invested in compliance. We're too much invested in to be compliant with standards, which is not fit with the real technology world. Today, to become a hacker, you need just a laptop, you need just learn some few courses on YouTube, which are available for everyone, and then you can become very dangerous to the world. And it's not funny. It's not funny, and it's human life, and you can quote my word, it's a matter of time until something very bad happened. And from that stage, I want to share with you my perspective. My perspective is only one, like the rest of the world. Please more collaborate. If we will welcome people like David, if we will be more collaborate between us inside the industry, between OEM and Tier 1, we will be more secure. And this is my main topic today. I see a lot of threats, a lot of vulnerabilities, a lot of weaknesses that everyone has in his car. No one wants to hear about what could happen if people like David will do some dangerous thing. No one actually talk about what could happen if battery of electrical car become to be a bomb. And this is the main thing that I'm personally afraid of. I'm afraid of, in my point of view, as a tier 1, one of the biggest tier 1s. And I really want to ask you again, what do you think we can do better to make our cars more safe for us? For everyone, actually.
Yeah, that would be pretty good. And in my opinion, we really have to change the narrative, because if you take a look at tier 1s and OEMs right now, I feel like they try to push cybersecurity into the dark and not really be open about it and speak about it. And I think OEMs and tier 1s should embrace security. They should be like, hey, security is important. We invest in it. We do research there. And especially if you are like an OEM and automaker, all of the knowledge is there, like the internal tools are there. So you really have to embrace security research. You have to embrace internal security research. You have to embrace external security research. And one of the main issues that I think is present, we just don't have the people for it. Because, you know, my story is very unique. I was just like, hey, let's quit school and do cool stuff. And I was very interested in technology, but that's not how the world looks. I mean, it's really great in Israel, because you have a lot of people coming out of the military who are interested in technology and cybersecurity. But if you take a look at it globally, especially in Germany, like nobody who's my age cares about cybersecurity and automotive cybersecurity. So we really have to create a next generation of talent. That's something we all should work on. We have to bring down the entry-level barrier, because I would love to continue security research regarding automotive, but I can't like afford to buy a 70K car, which I risk breaking when hacking it. So we have to bring down these substantial entry-level barriers, and then we have to train those people up and ignite the passion in them, so they are like, hey, that's really cool. So we have to bring young people into the space to continue this work, because we need a lot more of them. That's really important. And as you mentioned, collaboration is one of the key factors, because those silo solutions don't work. I mean, you have OEMs doing this, and you have tier 1s doing this, and then you have cybersecurity companies doing something else. In the automotive space, we all should work together. It's really important. And then it's not only the automotive space, but it's also the mobility space. I mean, mobility is not only automotive, but also like planes and cars. And I'm not quite sure if the mic is still working. I think so, yes? Awesome. And there are like huge risks. I mean, cars are one thing, and cars are the biggest part. But let's take a look at the airplane. I mean, has any one of you ever thought about a hacked airplane? It sounds like it's from an action movie, but it's actually not. Security research in this space has already been demonstrated. So the risks are there, and I would like to hear from someone who's on the other side, like, what is your viewpoint on the risks?
So here's the funny story about the automotive industry. We invest a lot of time and human resource on critical safety thing like crash test. Every car of any one of us are crashed one time in the wall. But when it become to the software side, we don't do enough. Okay, so why we don't use people all around the world to penetrate our system, to welcome that? Okay, why we don't use more things like bug bounty programs, which welcome people to penetrate in our system, get some money for that, and share with us their thought, because every independent hacker could teach us something. We needed to adopt those things, and not just about the automotive industry, in the whole embedded and IoT industry. And this is the funny thing, that when it become like an hardware, just crash my car, it's fine, it's fair. We spend a lot of things about it, but in security, we're still not there. That's the main problem for my point of view. What do you think about this risk?
Well, the risks are definitely there. I mean, that's not something we can't hide the fact. Mm-hmm. I mean, let's take a look at the industry and what's happening in the security research space. It's not like we have like a decade to secure our mobility stuff. We have to do it now, and we have to do it fast. Because let's take a hacked airplane, for example. I mean, right now only security researchers have those capabilities. But now think about what if a terrorist organization gains capabilities hacking an airplane. I mean, that's a really huge, huge risk. And we should act now fast to prevent this from happening.
So, for my point of view, again, we need to adopt some more quick and more fast updating of the process that we use to secure our cars and our component. We need to be more updating by the industry, updating by people, updating by the security standards and by security trends, which is not, it's never good enough in any industry, not just in the automotive one. And the most important thing that mentioned by you, it's train people. We need more talent. We need more skilled person. We need more security research and talents that show us where is our problem, because we're focusing on the main issues, and our time become to the end, and we need to talk about the conclusions. So, what is your conclusions?
Yeah, so the time is unfortunately running out. I mean, I could speak about this topic for like 2 hours because it's just like I'm passionate about it, and it's just so important. I mean, a lot of you here are also in mobility. That's why you are here at the EcoMotion. So innovation is happening so fast in this space. I mean, you really feel this in technology and also now in mobility, that innovation is happening so fast. Take a look at Tesla. They're innovating really fast, and now all the other automakers are joining in. And then you take a look at like things like passenger drones. I mean, still, again, sounds like it's from a science fiction movie, but this is happening. You have companies building those things. And we all have to work together to make it sure. So my conclusion points would be like, we have to talk about the topic, we have to collaborate together, and we have to bring the talent into the space, because the talent is going to be the key factor of the success of the security in the mobility space.
And also think about the big picture. It's not just the car or the product. It's also our infrastructure, our cloud system, our software, our hardware. It's about everything, which is also really important.
Exactly, and I would love to continue the conversations with you all. We have to leave the stage, but please reach out on LinkedIn or after the session, just come up and talk with me about this topic, because it's really important, and I think we can learn from each other. I mean, it's great to get a perspective from someone who works at like the enterprise companies who are building all of this stuff, and I think we can benefit from each other, like just a guy from Germany who likes to hack cars, and then those large enterprises who are responsible for securing it. So we really have to come together and make it secure. So thanks very much, and see you again.
Thank you, everyone.